As somebody in Niaduerudi, I will speak to the people, and in the process, most of the things I am about Ehugbo, we will understand it today. Ehugbo Unuka, I was asked to speak on the topic titled Igwebike, the place of Atwa in the development of Ehugbo. Igwebike is a sociological concept. It emphasizes mutual support. Whatever thing the Igbo man does is anchored on that concept of Igwebike. Is it in Umunna? Is it in the village? Is it in the maximum place Ehugbo na Futakota? It is all about Igwebike. Whether in the ancient or in the modern, Igwebike is a concept that has engineered serious development in Ehugbo. In Southern Africa, Igwebike as a concept found expression in the word called Ubuntu. Ubuntu says, I exist because you exist. I am because you are. And when it comes to Igwebike, Igwebike is that mutual support we give one another. We will look at the different ways Igwebike has been tested in Ehugbo. Number one, when Ehugbo had little population, it was the concept of Igwebike that saved us from existential threat. When animals, wild animals, dangerous animals, were threatening to annihilate and eat almost everybody, our ancestors started living in groups. Agobia, they will mobilize and Chorua. Igwebike saved in Ehugbo. Now, Ohia the second, we still remember people and Ekuge obeying. It is because lions, tigers, elephants that were disturbing the peace of the community were illuminated through the concept of Igwebike. Number two, Igwebike is a concept that made Ehugbo to be what we are in terms of agriculture. And agriculture has different segments. You have crop farming, you have hunting, you have fishing. When it comes to crop farming, Igwebike aneje okwoha, aneje oseya noha. The elders in Onibie will tell you it is unfortunate no more but it was the concept of Onta that saved a lot of our elders. Because when the youth will come back, there will be plenty meat. Fishing, Ehugbo may participate. Ehugbo has inland and riverine. Most of them on a river, and they were still farming. Igwebike saved Ehugbo from that. We will talk about other things. What about festivals? Festival ceremonies. Igwebike is there. Let's talk about Iko Ehugbo. Iko will start from Ukpogoro. All the people in the community will participate. It will move to Ugwego. From Ugwego, it will come to Ohisu. From Ohisu, it will come to Itim. From Itim, no move where it be, and to Onogonyani. All these things, the people were involved. In those days, Onyejo Owulo, the person will not re-roof or roof his house without the support of his age grade or Igwebike. Let's also say, traditional means of ways Igwebike is relevant. Igwebike is still relevant up till now. In 1953, let's start with primary school. In 1924, the first primary school in Ehugbo was established, government primary school. In 1953, government college was established. It got to the time the population pushed in a government college in Sogu. What did Ehugbo elders do? Riwere is here as one of the pioneers. Nde say that we must use the concept of Igbo and build additional school. The 9 age grades in Ehugbo came together on Kagari Emote Government Technical School. We have primary school in Ehugbo, Ohabike. Ohabike and Igbo means the same thing. General Hospital, the only government hospital in Ehugbo. On the age grade in Anohia, rural. So, whatever thing we do is engineered and prepared by this concept in Ehugbo. But there is also a structure, governance structure that is giving it support. And that takes us to the second segment of this lecture. Remember, the topic is Igbo, the place of Atwa in the development of Ehugbo. This introduction has taken care of the concept of Igbo. The second aspect will be these people in the Afikpo or Ehugbo. It is that vision that will take us to the second sector. Our lecture lesson. We go through it. Go to that page. Page 1. Umu Ehugbo, historical evolution. Page 1. Umu Ehugbo. This is where we are going to tell ourselves Umu Ehugbo. The original inhabitants of Ehugbo were not Igbo-speaking people. The Bantu, semi-Bantu people that inhabited the Western Cross River, the Egos and the Kalos, they inhabited this place called Ehugbo. As time goes on, the Igbo group started surging into this territory, now called Ehugbo. As they were coming in their thousands, a new problem. Yes, there must be conflict. People must lose and people must win. The Igbo group attacked the original inhabitants, the Egos and the Kalos. So, how did the name Ehugbo come to be? Remember, there were people inhabiting Ehugbo. Emo country, Emo Kalo country. How did the name Ehugbo come? We had earlier stated that when the war started, Nkalo left, most of them left, and history has it now. When you go to Ehugbo, Emo or Hamwego, when you go to Amasri, when you go to Afikpo, that almost all these echoes you hear from here up north. But the echoes that left Ehugbo, history has it that Igbo never allowed any other group to enter Ehugbo. When you enter, you will be confronted. Who gave you this portion? You are standing. You reply, na ordina eha Igbo. Ne Igbo. And that was how it was. People that were the later settlers that gave the name Ehugbo, not Igbo people. For instance, when you are studying traditional African society, if you are a historian, you will be fatigued because you are going to depend more on oral tradition to reconstruct whatever thing you are doing. It was oral tradition that helped us to know even Ntienorunasa before Ehugbo. Ehugbo Onuka. When we went to Mana to interview them, the Mana elders told us that the first people Mana people settled were on Nguzeta. Without them what they were saying, we said let's go to Eda and ask the elders of reason not Mana people because some of Mana Nguzu. My professor, we left. I named JMK Ezeta. Nangusu. When we arrived, a wave the cola not, wave the everything. It's a bad job, then. The first community said, will be about torture. I don't want about torture. We were all surprised. Like HEB, very far place. And we did not have any, because Professor Aga had already told us, he used oral history to say, no one away from Monago or Bakuman at the Rangusu. It was a song, and we used it to trace, to know that actually Uwana people lived in Ngusu before migrating. The reasons why they now came to their present abode is outside the scope of this lecture. It was this same oral tradition and music behind the soft one, the name Ndebonoro before later settlers started calling Ehugbo. When Ego left, there was serious interchange of cultural engagement between the Igbo group and the Nkalo group. Remember, the Igbo group brought Ogo, and that is why you see a Ogo in all these groups, either Ogo, Mohafia Ogo, Amasri Ogo, and the rest. But the early settlers, the Egos and the Nkalos, did not even then Nkaloma Arembo, New Yam Festival, those things. So, the people from the Igbo group, they came around. When he was singing, he said, Agami Okankalo. What does it mean? That the original name of Ehugbo was Igbo. We had Igbo country, we had Nkalo country. Agam have traversed all the Igbo countries as a whole. I have traversed all the Nkalo countries as a whole. At that time, Oyaji. So, it was a little group. When you are confronted, why are you in Amoro? Why are you in Amashi? They say, I'm not Libya and Ehugbo. That was how they started saying Ehugbo. Having given the background of where we are, how our name came to be, something happened that is reinforcing this Igbo concept. Igbo and his group, when they conquered the original inhabitants, they did not institute monarchical system. What they established was a republican system of government. You reach the peak of your career no matter your depth. They instituted or handed over governance to a group of people in a group, Ekukesa. Up till now, that was how Ekukesa was instituted. Ekukesa became a platform for social justice. It became a platform for fairness. When you are aggrieved, whatever thing that is called conflict, when you take it to that platform, you receive justice. And this takes us to the third section, why Atwa was formed. Ehugbo lived in a society that everybody was free. The princes came with the slaves. Everybody was equal. When they received education and left to different places, they started suffering injustice and discrimination. And they wanted that social platform that was giving them justice. In 1932, a group of young people, Lagos, they didn't have that population to start anything Ehugbo. What they did was they called it Afikpo Division Union in 1932. That was the origin of Atwa. But the main Atwa started in 1949 in Bowizu, Lagos, rooted. And just like the PG said, that Omezwe Nnadi Mbagana was instrumental and his group. 1949 was a defining stage for this association Eneko Atwa. And they had a name after Afikpo, Fishermen and Traders Association. But the name was not suitable. Mr. Ituma suggested Atwa, Afikpo Town Welfare Association, and the name stuck. Since that 1949 up till now, it has not any goal. The Ehugbo going back. The Atwa have done a lot of things. They bring the dignity. We are going to look at the pioneers of Atwa. Unya Ehugbo, their reason for saying we want to form Atwa. And Omezwe in one of his books stated the reasons that Ikenna had already arrived. He returned from Ali Ehugbo with a degree in medicine. The division a medical doctor. How do we get a lawyer? We needed association that we contribute money and send Onyabu Ali Ehugbo, Atwa, whatever thing. A lawyer will defend us. That was the main reason why they started saying we have Afikpo Division Union. Already, I want to be a medical doctor. Let us now have a lawyer and other professionals. Again, we have to consider the issue of molestation. John Holt Company, what the storekeeper or the manager was doing, but Umu Ehugbo, he will refuse to measure their products. No na take advantage of them. Agada and other elders, they marched to him. This time, you also not going to get they will intervene. When they cross the river, even when they will more the problem, they will go and intervene. They went there. I think we have to read that tenor. Let's go to a page. Go to page 4. Are we in page 4? Okay. Page 4, second paragraph. Second paragraph says, Omezwe Ehugbo provided another strong point, which can be interpreted as foundation laying background for future Atwa interventions, whether at home or abroad. It was an issue of molestation that bordered on unethical conduct. According to him, it was the manager or shop clerk in charge of John Holt's Ozizapi who developed the habit of delaying the purchases of produce from women. He would keep them for hours, on and or even for days, before he will measure and pay for their goods. He made all sorts of advances to them. Before doing so, we, that is James Inenwo, Ohiam Brent, Aga Uche, and myself, after due consultations, waded into the matter. This time, we did not go to plead with him, but threatened court action. And here again, we succeeded. Atwa, whether at home, whether abroad, this foundation laying is still what is keeping Atwa going. Atwa intervene where other people fail and they will pass. I teach the Numaya. Ebu Numaya. One man, Obila, he was not associated. This thing happened about 10-15 years ago. Associating with him. Mgbe dey more problem with a police woman, the woman get locked wire up. See after all, Somebody know that thing, they say that one. Now the policewoman say, "But this man will mark of and that was the only reason why Atwa intervened, because it was no longer about the man Obila. It was now about the ego, the prestige of an Ehugbo man. Atwa intervened. When you go to that, we have said that Atwa has evolved from Afikpo Division Union to Atwa. Even after the war, when the military government banned all manner of socio-cultural organization, Atwa came up with the name ARO, Afikpo Reconstruction Organization. But let's look at what the former PG said. I was reading most of the things he wrote. From 1975, with page 4, we show us the names of Atwa past president generals from 1975 till date. We look at the achievements of Atwa. We have about 32 or 33 written achievements of Atwa. If we say, now we do one by one, in the church dance we will not do it. But one thing is sure, Atwa intervenes in peacetime. Atwa intervenes in conflict times. And Atwa does not restrict its intervention. Atwa has intervened in health issues, in criminal issues, in issues bordering on the existence of Ehugbo itself. Umu Ehugbo are divided into two. The problem of Itim, Osisa, and the rest of Ehugbo. It was Atwa that also intervened. Last Ehugbo, the governor came in and released about 200 million naira of Ehugbo. And when the contractors mismanaged it, Atwa stepped in. And anytime Wogabatari, they enter Mashodi, they avoid Metia, Efisi, and the rest of them. They will do it the way they are supposed to do it. And we want us to read the conclusion together so that they will attend suggestions, recommendations we make. But before then, remember that Atwa started in 1932 in Lagos. The year 2032 will be a significant year for Ehugbo and Atwa members. Why is it significant? It is significant because two events will take place in 2032. Number one, Atwa will be 100 in the year 2032. Number two, people like the PG, people like Uncle Dr. Abani and the other indicia here, we majestically remove the cap they are wearing now. In 1932. After 8 years. The other one was done in 2024. 8 years will be 2032. While we are celebrating Atwa at 100, we will also be celebrating the indicia members as Ali Ehugbo. I will conclude by saying 20 minutes I wouldn't know whether I will conclude, but the conclusion is this way. Atwa should be considered this way. Atwa will fully be Ehugbo outside Ehugbo. Ndị Ehugbo nọ n'Ehugbo. We go to Ulubi to seek justice. Ndị Ehugbo nọ na Lagos. We run to Atwa to seek justice. Ndị Ehugbo nọ na Atwa. We run to Enugu to seek justice. Na emeriwo ya dey suppose o imeriwo. On that note, Atwa has sponsored a lot of people via scholarship. They have intervened in health. I'm pleading with members and leadership of Atwa. We've been a tenant for 93 years now. We've been a tenant. I was repairing. Atwa was repairing now. Only ọbụla ruo 93, 94 is repairing everything. Let us plan. Now complete here our own secretariat, so that the wishes of repairing Agwanego will be done. Not one to Hokwa. He wants a library for a self-book, and that library can accommodate a lot of things. Remember, Ehugbo fell under the spell of influence of Ndebeke in 1902. We can decide to say, let's document in the Boroka Ehugbo from 1902 down. Postgraduate scholars, undergraduate researching on Ehugbo will now depend on the library of Atwa if Ehugbo is unable to build their own library. Ehugbo, Onuka!
Atwa Ikenna, Unya Ehugbo,